Good morning. Welcome to Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Alan Sproat. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm serving as your worship associate this morning. I'm joined by our worship leader, Reverend Chris Rothbauer, whose pronouns are they, them, their. We are excited to welcome you to our worship service this morning. We are so glad to have you with us today, whether you are joining in person or virtually. Whether you are here for the first time or whether you've been here for longer than you can remember. Here at Horizon, we welcome people of all faiths and of no faith in particular. Wherever you are, whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome among us. As a community, we also welcome the sharing of joys and sorrows and concerns. You are welcome to fill out a joy and sorrow slip on the table near the Welcome Center, in the pockets of the chairs, and on the Joys and Sorrows table in front of the sanctuary. And you are welcome to light a candle. This can be done at any time before the service or in service from the beginning through the Offertory.
Our call to worship this morning is from Margaret A. Kipe. As surely as we belong to the universe, we belong together. We join here to transcend the isolated self, to reconnect, to know ourselves to be at home, here on earth, under the stars, linked with each other.
Our chalice lighting this morning is from Jennifer McLaughlin. As the first hint of green begins to peek through the barren ground, as the little sprig grows into a healthy stem, as that stem grows into a stalk and forms a bud, as that bud slowly opens with each new day to form a yellow daffodil, let us be like that first hint of green, renewed by the warmth of the sun's rays. And ready to emerge with a new energy, ready to face the day. We light this chalice to bring a glimmer of that warmth into our space. Please join me in our affirmation, which is printed on the back of your order of service and projected on the screen. Love is the doctrine of our church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. Dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, serve humanity in harmony with the earth. Thus do we covenant together. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, number 163 in the gray hymnal, For the Earth Forever Turning.
Horizon contributes to our wider community by donating to MetroCrest services, and we request items for their pantry, like shelf-stable food items and personal care products, toiletries, monthly menstrual hygiene products, diapers, baby wipes, etc. Now, we have a lot going on up here, so I'm going to invite Beth to stand here. What if you have brought donations for MetroCrest, would you please hand them to Beth, who will put them in our MetroCrest basket for delivery? And I really want to encourage our kids and maybe some of our older kids to come up, because I have a story and I need your help with the story. Excellent. People are delivering things. Well, the story I'm going to read to you today is called The Tree and Me. And I want you to think really hard about that, about the title, because for some of our younger kids, A Tree and Me might sound a little different. So let's go ahead and read this story and find out about it. I love this book. I love the illustrations, and I think you're going to love them too. The Tree and Me. It's by Karina Lukin. The tree in me is part apple, part orange, pear, almond, and plum, part yum. It is part shade and part sun. You know, I noticed I'm not showing you these pictures. I know you can see them behind me, but they're really neat. I'm not doing every single picture. The tree in me is seed and blossom and bark and stump. Branch and trunk. And if you're up front here, you can see the kids playing in the tree. Maybe you can behind me too. I don't know. And crown. What part of the tree is the crown? Can you tell? It's the leafy top of the tree. It is bird, squirrel, and worm. And if you look really closely at the picture, you can see all three of those. And bee. Can you see the bee? I hope there's the picture of the blossoms behind me. And here it is. See that? And because there is a tree in me, there is wind and rain and dirt and a river with fish and the sky too. This is one of my favorite pictures from this book. I know it's behind me too. The tree in me is strong. It has roots that go deep. Do you see all the little mushrooms on the roots? And down to where the other roots reach up towards their own trunk, branch, and crown. And sky, too. I like this one because all the kids are reaching up to the sky, if you can see. Because there is a tree and a sky and a sun in me, I can see that there is also a tree in you. So help me out, folks. For some of our younger kids here, what does it mean to have a tree in me? I mean, when I was a kid, I thought that maybe if I accidentally swallowed like an apple seed, a tree would grow inside me. Is that what it means? No, it doesn't mean in me. What do you think it means? What do you think? Oh, we have a lot of people. Maybe some of the folks that are not sitting up front, that are sitting in the seats, would like to answer that. What does it mean to have a tree in me? So adults, you can chime in too. Nobody wants to chime in. Oh my gosh. Wow, I've not had such a quiet audience in a long time. Well, what I mean by that is that we are all connected. We're all part of an interconnected web. And especially on Earth Day, that's such a great message to remember, that the way the tree has its roots in the ground and it gets nourished by the earth and it helps with, that trees give out carbon dioxide and take in oxygen, backwards, give out carbon dioxide give out oxygen and take in carbon dioxide. It helps produce the oxygen that we breathe. We're all connected to the trees. And so what the tree needs is what we need. And that's a really great message to remember on this Earth Day. So thank you all for being such great listeners, and let's go ahead and go to our classrooms now.
We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure that the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and the world than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. Thank you to our members and friends who give and pledge electronically. If you would like to give electronically, you may do so in the Breeze app or online at horizonuu.org/donate. The offering will now be joyfully given and received. Thank you for your generosity. Our first reading is from Lynn Unger. Imagine with me for a moment. Don't worry, I'm not saying it's real. Imagine, if you can, that there has been not a calamity, but a great awakening. Pretend just for a moment that we all so loved our threatened Earth that we stopped going on cruises, limited international flights, worked on cherishing the places where we already are. In this pretty fantasy, everyone who possibly can stops commuting. Spends the extra time with their kids or pets or garden. We have the revelation that everyone needs health care, sick leave, steady work. It occurs to us that healthcare workers are heroes, also teachers, not to mention the artists of all kinds who teach us resilience and joy. Imagine, if you will, that we turn to our neighbors in mutual aid, trading eggs for milk, checking in on those who are elderly or alone. Imagine that each of us felt suddenly called to wonder, in this moment, what does the world need from me? What are my gifts? Yes, I know it's just a fantasy. The world could never change so radically overnight. But imagine.
The faith that I grew up in was very much focused on the next world, the so-called supernatural, that it sometimes seemed the here and now were very much afterthoughts. In fact, one of the objections I have frequently heard to doing anything at all about climate change are not denials at all, but rather pointing out that if the rapture is to happen soon, why bother doing anything to save this planet since we're all going to another realm? I wish I could believe such fantasies. My religious life as a child really didn't care about this planet. I don't agree with that theology any longer, and today in recent times, I've realized I yearn for a different way of being spiritual. But it was thousands of miles away that I started finding a way to integrate my religious life and my love of nature. In 2013, I was honored to travel to Suzuka, Japan, to spend 3 weeks at Tsubaki Grand Shrine, a 2,000-year-old Shinto shrine in rural Mie Prefecture, about an hour south of Kyoto. The Unitarian Universalist Association has maintained close ties with the priests there ever since the first president of our association, the Reverend Dana McLean Greeley, struck up a friendship with the chief priest at the shrine, a relationship that would eventually be one of the catalysts for the founding of the International Association for Religious Freedom. Today, Tsubaki regularly hosts Unitarian Universalist lay people, ministers, and seminarians in the name of religious understanding. And I was fortunate enough to be selected to receive a scholarship for such a trip. In terms of my spiritual and theological development, I think I will always remember the conversations I had there with the priests about the concept of God. See, the Japanese have a word, kami, which is often translated to mean God. However, what I soon realized by talking with them was that the Western concept of a transient, omnipotent, omniscient God made no sense to their system and wasn't what they meant by the word. They were very insistent that I not think of Shinto as a religion that has gods, though it's often classified as polytheistic. It took me some time, but I finally began to understand what the priests meant as I listened to the stories they told, their own religious narratives about the way life works. While there are grand myths about the universe in Japanese mythology, what I found most fascinating was the way that the Japanese talked about the here and now. Everything is sacred to them because everything has kami, or a sort of divine essence within them. Kami was more than the equivalent of gods of Western religion. Kami is the essence of everything around us. Indeed, in Shinto, you're just as likely to find shrines on beautiful, picturesque, natural landscapes as you are to go to Nagoya, the third largest city in the country, and find a shrine at the top of a skyscraper overlooking the dirty manufacturing town. And in the concept of kami, if divinity is infused in the web of life, aren't we called to do something about the current climate crisis? I do not believe that our current situation was created in a vacuum. Indeed, it's the result of centuries of centering humans in philosophy, theology, and politics. For too long, so many people have sought their own comfort at the expense of the destruction of the natural world, and we're now reaping disastrous global consequences. But one thing I realized from my time in Japan, modern conveniences like fossil fuels are just as much a part of the natural order as trees and forests. Indeed, Shinto priests at Tsubaki frequently blessed the kamis and cars, and even located shrines where people were in busy cities. No, it's not the fossil fuels that are bad in themselves, but the way we've used them to the destruction and degradation of the natural world. What I've come to believe is that we need ways to reverse this trend of humans seeing themselves as being outside of nature, that relocates our place in the grand scheme of things to within it, to find a sense of religious spirituality. We are just as much a part of nature as everything else, and part of the interdependent fabric of the natural world, where the actions of one can strongly impact the safety and survival of all. By recognizing this connection, I believe that an eco-spirituality can argue that our religious orientation, our ultimate concern, should be towards the continued survival of the natural world, which may mean drastic changes for how we function in the universe. I think what most appealed to me about this sort of eco-spiritualism is the idea that religious and spiritual values are not apart from nature, but within it. That nature is enough for us as spiritual beings to find meaning in the universe. Just think about this. The flow of water and rivers, the bark of a dog, the fluttering of birds, the movement of planets, it's all sacred and holy ground if we see it as being interconnected with us. There is relationship in the fact that all beings are interconnected, and we can find meaning in the way we interact with the earth. Either meaning towards creation of a new way of being, or meaning towards destruction if we mindlessly destroy others just to be a little more comfortable. There is awe for me in the realization that so many living organisms on earth are engaged in lives as complex or more so than our own. And I find meaning in the way we interact with the earth and the beings within it. So many Unitarian Universalists tell me they come to this faith because we don't reject science. And indeed, one of the things I love about the new Article 2 values is that it will enshrine science as one of our inspirations. And what science tells us is, yes, we are interconnected. What one does affects us all. And I must remind myself that while we may wish that it were not so, life is also sometimes cruel. And it's how we deal with that cruelty that will determine the kinds of people we are. For me, my own sense of religious spiritualism reorients me towards what is important to me in this universe, the continued survival and flourishing not only of my own species, but countless others that exist on our planet and have just as much claim to it as I do. It reminds me that what I do in this world matters, not only to my own survival, but to those of so many others, including every being in this room right now. There are bigger things in the universe than me. And eco-spiritualism teaches me to take a holistic approach in how I deal with the universe. Someone recently asked me why interdependence is a value in the list of proposed Article 2 values that the General Assembly will consider in June. After all, if it's a fact of life, is it really a value? My very imperfect answer is that it is a value because not everyone is on board with that reality yet. if we are to save this one world we have, those of us who are on board with the deep truth that everything is woven in an intricate thread of reality must be ready to live the reality of interdependence and help others have experiences that reveal the reality that we need this earth, this one planet we have to live on, because as a cute bumper sticker I saw said, there is no planet B. And maybe that's the greatest truth behind Earth Day. Every person on this earth can learn to love this earth, to see our destinies as intertwined, if we are to save it, to ensure the destinies of those who will come after us. May it be so. We now take time to honor the sorrows and joys of this community, knowing that we are all interconnected and that what affects one affects us all. A sorrow on behalf of Elaine McMillan. While visiting her sister in Colorado, Elaine developed blood clots in one of her lungs. She is out of the hospital now and hoping to return home very soon. And we light one more candle this morning to honor all the joys and sorrows which have gone unspoken and reside only in our hearts. Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation in whatever way feels right with these words from Lynn Cox. After the reading, we'll have a space of silence, which will be broken by our responsive hymn, number 398 in the gray hymnal, To See the World. Creative spirits, sources of life and love, we give thanks for the beauty of this day and for the company of those assembled here. Thank you for the breezes of change clearing our heads and bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds and the oppressions and isms that divide us. Thank you for the flame of hope, the heat of righteous anger, the warmth of compassion, and the fire of commitment. May they bubble the cauldrons of transformation. Thank you for the oceans of love and connection, tears of relief and pools of serenity. May healing waters flow over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despairs to bring joy this morning. Thank you for the good earth beneath us, around us, and within us. May we take this clay and co-create a new realm of justice and beauty. Thank you for all these and more. We accept our gifts and commit to building, sculpting, painting, singing, and dancing them to abundant life. So be it. Blessed be.
reading from Ross Gay. If you find yourself half naked and barefoot in the frosty grass, hearing again the earth's great sonorous moan that says, "You are the air of now and gone," that says, all you love will turn to dust and will meet you there, do not raise your fist. Do not raise your small voice against it, and do not take cover. Instead, curl your toes into the grass. Watch the cloud ascending from your lips. Walk through the garden's dormant splendor. Say only, thank you. Thank you.
Each year, Earth Day reminds us of our interdependence with the larger ecosystem and of the terrible damage humans have done to this one and only planet we call home. It also comes shortly after the spring equinox, a time of new beginnings when new life sprouts from the coldness of winter. Just as life sprouts all around us, so too can we be planters of new life in both the damaged ecosystem and in our lives, offering the opportunity for possibility where there might previously have been none. This morning, I am really excited to offer a new Earth Day ceremony that's never been done in a Unitarian Universalist or any other congregation before, because I wrote it. You will note that it does have elements that may seem familiar, like an adaptation of the old soil communion. But I hope that it will offer you reminder of our interdependence with the earth and with one another, and offer a beacon of hope when, as the hymn says, hope is hard to find. So if you read your newsletter, you were invited to bring soil suitable for planting from your home or garden Mixing our different soils represents how each of us are needed to tend to the earth. In just a moment, I'll ask you to bring up your soil and ritually intermingle it in our communal flower bowl. Now, we anticipated a few of you might have missed it, so we do have soil available for you because we want everyone to participate. Please don't put, if you brought your soil from home, more than a small bit. We have only a limited amount in our flower bowl, so we don't want to have it so full that everyone else's is falling out. So here's what we invite you to do. So Carmen is going to play some soft music as you come down to bring your soil or to get some soil. You'll notice Gay and Marty are flanking the sides. So we want you to come down the side aisles. If you need some soil, grab a cup from Gay or Marty, and then you're going to bring it up and ritually put it into the bowl as you think about what you're planting this morning. If you need help, dumping your soil in, Alan and I will be there if you do need assistance. Because the stage is so busy, we invite you to not come on the stage, but to go around the front and then go back down the middle aisles to go back to your seats. So at this time, I invite you forward for the mixing of the soils. I place one more cup of soil into our communal bowl for all those who are watching us virtually, for those who could not be here this morning, and for those who, for one reason or another, were unable to come up. I offer a blessing to the soil now with these words from Father Killian McDonnell. Tug at this blessing, and you will find it is a thing with roots. This is a blessing that has gone deep into good soil, into the sacred dark, into the luminous hidden. It has been months since the ground gathered the seed of this blessing into itself. Years since the earth enfolds it. Sometimes that's how long a blessing takes. And the fact that this blessing will finally show its first fruits on a day you happen by, well, perhaps we shall simply call the timing of this ripening a mystery and a sweet grace. Take all you want of this blessing. Take every morsel that you need for the path ahead. Let its fruits fall into your hands. Gather them into the basket of your arms. Let this blessing be one place where you are willing to receive in unmeasured proportions, to lay aside for a moment the way you ration your delights. Let yourself accept its inexplicable plenitude. Allow it to give itself to sustain you, not simply for yourself, though on this bright day I might be persuaded to think that would be enough, but that you may gather its seeds into yourself, like the ground where this blessing began, and wait with the patience of seasons and years to bear forth in the fullness of time a stunning harvest, a plenteous feast. Soil alone cannot bear fruit. If that was the case, no one would be hungry. It needs good seeds to provide the foundations for new life. This is a reminder that we must each renew the seeds we plant in our lives and in our worlds, bearing fruit that can sustain us in the months ahead, offering the promise of plenty for those willing to take on this work of renewal. I invite you to think of the seeds you are planting in your own life this spring. Maybe you want to renew your commitment to social action, or you want to look for a new job. Perhaps you want to learn a new skill or take up a new hobby, or you're ready to start a new phase in your life. Or you know you're ready to end those that are no longer serving you. Or maybe you just need more time for yourself or your family. Whatever those seeds you want to plant are, I invite you to name them in your mind this morning. Now, as you feel moved, I invite you, if you wish, to call out a short word or phrase that represents the seed or seeds you are planting in your life, or you may choose to leave it unsaid in your heart.
Kindness. Love. Knowing. Truthfulness. Compassion. Patience. Nurturing. Patience. Joy. Connection. Abundance. Peace. Peace. Gratitude. Generosity.
We offer blessing for all these things and for all that are left in the silence of our hearts. Alan and I will now offer literal seeds to this soil, seeds it needs to spring forth life. May these seeds nourish this soil just as the seeds we plant in our own lives nourish our sustenance. Now, don't worry, someone will be coming through after the service to make sure that they're deep enough to actually sprout roots. This is the closing of this part of the ritual, but the thing that makes this ritual special is that in the coming weeks, we will ritually water our seeds each week at the start of our worship service. We're not quite sure yet how long it's going to take them to grow. It would be great if they're sprouted by the flower ceremony in early June. But if they're not, we will continue watering them until the water ceremony and ingathering in the middle of August. Each week, we will water them that we may be reminded that the work of our planting does not stop after one day, but continues into the year long after this ritual has concluded. We have come here to mingle our soil, the fertilizer of our lives, that new life may soon spring forth and in abundance. And so that I don't get a million questions after the service about this very topic that I know is on some of your minds right now, yes, we will be taking care of it through the week because we know that watering on Sunday isn't enough. I want to thank Pam Schumann especially and Eileen Terrell for helping me to test this in advance and for helping to think through this with me about the practicalities, as well as Deb Freeman, who provided guidance on gardening, which is not a subject that is one of my specialties. May the seeds planted here today sprout forth and in abundance, and may they be consistent reminders of the truth of interdependence and the work we do together in this, our one and only home. Blessed be.
We extinguish this flame, but not our commitment to welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. This we do because we envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping all to thrive in a just world. I would like to invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, hymn number 1064 in the Teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home.
Our benediction is by Norman V. Naylor. Reminded that we are part and participants of the universe, let us go forth from the quiet of this hour, encouraged to strive towards faithfulness to the best in ourselves, in others, and in the whole creation. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.